Oh man, I forgot.
What? What happened?
The donuts. They were attacking me. I had to eat them in self-defense.
Oh, they're scary donuts.
Yes, terrifying. You wouldn't want any. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 26 of Digimon Ghost Game, Cannibal Mansion. As many of you are aware that have watched these videos in the past, these are very in-depth looks into what happens in these episodes, so if you're worried about spoilers, you may wish to come back later, after you've seen in the episode and not spoil yourself here. But, without further ado, let us dive head on into episode 26 of Digimon Ghost Game, Cannibal Mansion.
Yep, so it's about a mansion that eats other houses.
Yep.
No, but they'll probably be more entertaining.
No, this is Puppetmon's house.
I can see Puppetmon having a house that eats other
The
houses.
houses, yep. It has nothing to do with that. Just a good old Digimon Adventure reference.
Yep. Just kind of a silly name. Should be like, if you're going to be a cannibals, mansion of cannibals, or the cannibals mansion.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, we start with the same... Well,
no, we don't.
Kind of the same.
Yeah. Actually, their intro has changed a little bit now that we've gotten an ultimate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cannibal Mansion appears in the trailer and all the Digimon are being introduced.
Yep.
That's about the only change I noticed. You notice anything else?
No.
Okay. But then we open to the same narration we always get.
It actually shows some different, more recent screenshots.
It shows different clips from later episodes than before. It doesn't end at 4 now.
But the words are all the same.
Yeah. It's the same voice. It's the same recorded voice from Ghost Narrator. He doesn't get a new paycheck.
Nope. And we move right into with the formula at this point.
Yep.
Looks like a couple who's nervous because they hear weird noises coming from their home. So they go downstairs to investigate. And it turns out to be an egg-shaped Digimon with just a couple of green legs and a hole in it. If you know Digimon, you know what this is. But,
looks like a big Digitama, so who could it be?
Yeah. Who knows? And without practically saying anything, just the hands come reaching out of where the face is to grab the man and pulls him in, mostly off screen. Doesn't actually really show much of it.
Probably because the size thing would make it kind of hard to actually show.
Yes. And when we look back, there's some sand, something falling out of his...
Spitting something out.
Spitting out, and the clothes come out.
Yep.
And there's no human there anymore. And it doesn't seem satisfied with just the one, and reaches out and reaches towards the girl, and we don't actually see it, but we hear her screaming and some rather strange noises.
Yes. Coming
from it. And I think it's kind of supposed to be a mix of the humans' unhappiness and the Digimon. I don't know quite what.
I think it's just his rumbling tummy. Ultimately, at the end.
Yeah, it could be. There's
what happens in the episode. But...
Yeah, given some very strange noise. So, well, that's our opening intro. So we cut over to the main cast now, which is just Angoramon. Yeah. But we cut over to someone we know.
He was flying through the sky.
And he says, the meetings have been lively. Does that mean the meetings at the society where all the Digimon are gathering, where actually interesting stuff could be happening that they're not telling us? Yeah. And the community? I don't know. That's what I'm going to assume, because I don't know what else he'd be talking about. And we suddenly see an attack get launched right in front of him.
Yep.
But it doesn't hit him. It just kind of waves there, and he looks down and sees a very similar looking Digimon to one we just saw. So it's pretty sure it's the same one, and he immediately recognizes him, and seems very excited.
Well, instantly recognizing a Digimon is not surprising for him.
Yes. But this one seems all the more...
He's real excited to see this one. Though,
yes. And it turns out that, they sit down and they start talking, and they talk like they've known each other for quite a while. Though they haven't seen each other in 6 months, because when he asks him, how long have you been here, he tells him it's been 6 months. So there's been an ultimate level Digimon in this city for 6 months.
Yeah.
And this group had no idea.
And no clue. Yeah.
I mean, spoilers, he's an ultimate, but
What? No.
not that ultimate's even been at all of a concept really to the show much at
How
this
powerful
point.
an ultimate has been in this show seems to vary greatly between episodes. Yes.
Yeah. But as they're talking, we finally get a little bit of backstory about who Wezengammamon was, what he did before.
He fell through the visual gate.
Yeah, before we met him, before he was stalking Ruli. And apparently, they hung out and mostly did research together. They were historians and biologists.
Digimon biologists. And we have our first shot of the digital world. Not the quasi one that Dad creates when he sends his messages. An actual physical picture of the digital world.
Mm-hmm. And they're looking at holograms and some actual pedestals that have digicode on them.
Yep.
They don't have English or Japanese characters, as you know in Digimon. It's almost always digicode.
This digicode consists of digicode that is for English and Japanese characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty confident this whole thing is gibberish.
Mm-hmm. It changes as it goes in between
It
different...
changes shot and changes angles on this. It also changes what it says. So I'm guessing there's no cool Easter eggs or plot hints on these. I think it's just throw some of those characters up there and we're good. Yeah. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But it's been a little bit of effort on this. I'm pretty confident it's nonsense.
Yeah, and they talk about how they were so happy together. They spent all the time together. Like they were the closest of friends. They seemed.
This was Wezengammamon's best friend when he was in the digital world.
Mm-hmm. And so he starts talking about, well, don't be so scared of humans. They're not so bad either. I've even started, living with humans. And I was like, oh, really? Huh. That's weird. Do you think I could, possibly meet these humans? Like, sure, I'll ask Ruli, Doesn't seem like it'd be a problem. You haven't changed at all. Nor have you. Mm-hmm. And so he goes right to Ruli.
Yep.
At that night, it seems like sunset or whatever, and when he goes back, and she's all for it.
Oh yeah, she definitely wants to be her and Goramon's best friend.
Yeah. She's outgoing enough. Why would she say no to this at this point? There's nothing about Ruli that made me think she would think twice.
She would turn down this request, yeah.
Yeah. And pretty much before Wezengammamon can even ask, she's already on the phone to ask if Hiro can come along, can, get there too, who's, also would involve Kyo as well and everything.
Yeah, it never shows her calling Hiro, but he's involved.
Yeah.
See what Hiro is, so somebody told him.
Yeah. And so it seems like they're all going to gather,
and we cut to Ruli and Wezengammamon arriving at the mansion.
Yep. And Goramon's in his invisible state, so he didn't... Not that they ever need to be invisible in this series, because people are just...
It's an AI! Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a hologram. Oh, it's a good hologram.
Yeah. And so they walk in, and it seems pleasant enough.
Yep,
really,
and Digimon invites him in, even though he admits, it's not really
my
house.
Yeah. She's all impressed, how tough his shell is, and Goramon's so fluffy, but you're so... You're like, hard, but
you're like total opposites, but somehow you're friends.
You get along, yeah. And that certainly happens, and it's not...
Yeah, sometimes opposites attract in different ways.
Yeah. And so, after a brief little bit of talking there, we see where Hiro is.
It's the Hiro and Kyosuro with Jellymon and Gammamon, and, well, basically they're lost.
Yeah. I mean...
It takes a while before it flat out admits it, but you get the sense very quickly that they're not quite sure where they're going.
Yeah. I think it's a left here. And it doesn't seem like, Gammamon got them lost or something. No. It just literally seems like...
Despite that Hiro's got his nose buried
in his phone.
His GPS. It seems that they're kind of a bit lost. Because one time he talks about, it's a left, and then Gammamon goes, it's that way. Or I guess it's been because we reversed it to look like this.
Yes.
That's my left, darn it.
Yes, cameras are mirrored. It's that way.
So did he go, oh, that way?
Yep. And so, as they're talking about it, Hiro's saying that he's excited to go see him because he wants to ask Digitamamon about the digital world. What do you think Digitamamon knows that, Wezengammamon couldn't have already told you.
Because if literally had just been told he studied together, they pretty much know exactly the same things.
Yeah. I mean, he might not have known he's been here 6 months. He might be thinking he could learn more recent stuff, which he can't, but...
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see why he's excited, but as it turns out, he shouldn't be. But he suddenly cared again. Even though when Dad was mentioned in Twisted Love, he didn't seem to care.
No, it didn't bring that back up at all.
Not back up too much.
So we
say hi to your fans. We've missed you the last 2 weeks.
Yes. And so we cut back to the mansion, and they're talking about their past adventures. We learn them talking about one of their great stories they love to tease each other about. As it turns out, they were looking to research on Platinum Numamon apparently, and well, it's dealing with Numamon. So
they were found out.
Yeah, they were found out and chased out by flinging sludge at them.
Yes.
Definitely sludge.
And they kind of debate whose fault it was, and they got involved there.
Yeah, no, you're the one that wanted to go. Well, you're the one that caused the problems. Yeah. Just the friendly banter you just expect. It actually feels like, these people do have a connection.
Alright, now I cut back to our lost travelers.
Mm-hmm.
And before Kyo was saying he wasn't concerned, he was concerned about this because, yes, it's an abandoned house, but it does belong to somebody. Should we be going there?
Yeah.
And now, because they're lost, Hiro shows them a picture of the house to help them find it, and he recognizes this as, a house with lots of urban legends.
Urban legends, yeah. The man-eating mansion, and people gone disappearing, and just all these different rumors about it. Which, given what we know about it, makes a lot of sense. And there would be definitely stories about it. So he's obviously freaking out, and
they start dragging him along. Same story. Yeah,
and Hiro's like, well, if there is a problem, then we need to make sure Ruli's okay. We're going anyway.
Yeah, and Hiro starts to walk away, and Gamma says, did Ruli get eaten? And Hiro goes, no, of course not.
Yeah.
So back to the house, and they're exploring the library in this mansion.
They show that there's a library, and Goramon, being one who likes books a lot, is really excited to see some first editions or limited editions of certain books that he can find. But
they're not history books, which someone who's a history buff you think would want to be the first thing you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Not that history majors can't like Shakespeare and things like that, but again, he's going for it sounds like a murder mystery is the first book he pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real familiar with it. Maybe it's the story of some dynasty and something that happened with it, but I think it's a murder mystery book.
Yeah.
If you know your Japanese literature and I'm wrong, let me know.
Let us know in the comments below. Yeah. And I mean, we have never seen him with an intellectual book. I mean, poetry, sure it can be, but we've never seen him with a research book. We've never seen him with studying human history or something.
Human biology, which you think he was so interested in these two subjects.
Because they literally said back when they were researching about the digital world, there was nothing about humans. They couldn't find anything about that world, about them. So yeah, you would think now that he's got all that, he'd really be interested. He just hasn't shown that. But he's real interested in the book. So
and slightly before this, we should mention that they were talking about having some lunch or dinner, whatever time it was. And Really brought something with her. It was all prepackaged things, which makes sense to me. Yeah, really doesn't strike me as a cook.
Yeah, granola bars, something squarish, and I don't know exactly.
Who knows? He didn't have brand names or anything on there, but it was prepackaged food.
And he doesn't take any of that.
No. So after Zengoramon's picking up the books from the bookshelf, saying how much he likes having a real book in his hand as opposed to just reading data on a pad. Which, I understand. There's something feels different. Right about reading a book as opposed to reading it off a phone or something.
It is different. Even though it's really not, it is.
It shouldn't be, but it seems to be.
Yeah.
And then Untitled mentions there's a doll collection in this really odd perspective shot.
Yeah.
Because, the horizon line just seems wrong for the two characters. I'm no artist, so I can't tell exactly what angle you'd have to be at to get this, but even my extremely amateur eye says something's off with this shot. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's meant to give some kind of unnatural vibe.
It's not as bad as the background Gazimon in 2020, so.
Ooh. Yeah, what happened in that episode?
Anyway. So, yeah. And she seems really interested in antique dolls, which doll seems a little more girly for her than she usually is. I mean, that's fine. There's
nothing wrong with it.
Just it's just one of those. Okay. And so she goes up without Wezengammamon. He was too interested in the books and says, "I'll just stay here," because he trusts Digimon.
Yeah, he's his friend. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. And so they go up, and that's our commercial break. Not much has happened in this episode so far. I mean, it's built up like something could happen, but
it's been a Digimon-centric episode. It's really been focusing on Goramon, which is neat because you don't get a lot of episodes that do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's been kind of slow.
Especially in Goramon. I feel like it was good to learn.
Yeah, he's the one that seems the biggest mystery.
Right. So it was nice to learn. And as we come back, she's still looking around at dolls like, oh, look at that closet. And when she goes to open the closet, she finds a bunch of sand.
On the handles.
Which is a very odd place to...
Especially when we know where the sand comes from. It still doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. So, yeah, it's very weird. And she's like, oh, just have to clean this up later. And just goes to open it up. And, yeah, there's some kind of... I mean, some people might find these cute and attractive, but especially where they are, a lot of these look kind of creepy to me.
And they've even changed the drawing style for this one shot here.
Yeah, so, okay, sure.
You know, old creepy house gotta have some creepy dolls.
Yeah.
It's just a requirement.
Yep, and we're still building up. Digitamon's hovering around.
And a phone call.
Yeah, she gets a phone call from Hiro, and Hiro's, apparently warning her about,
Telling what Kyo told him that, yeah.
And she's like, he's just worrying. It's all fine here. Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing's wrong at all. Though, as soon as she hangs up, Digitamon starts making those strange noises again, and the arms start reaching out
very, very slowly because it's a main character.
Yes.
Then we come back to Goramon, who's brought his books over to a desk, and he finds some sand on it, and this freaks him out. Not sure why, but it does. So he runs upstairs.
It could very well be sensing partner in danger.
He could be using the Force again. He's done that several times.
I mean, so is Gammamon. I mean, Jellymon's the only one that has it, but I think it's because she doesn't care as much.
Just doesn't care.
It's not. That's the only reason we haven't seen her do it. Oh, he's in trouble. Hold on.
So then we cut to Ruli, who's backing away from Digitamon, and then suddenly Goramon's between them. Not quite sure how he managed to get through the door, past them, and all that to pop up in them like that, but this is the least of our concerns.
Yeah. And he steps in front, and Goramon's like, "What are you doing?"
And basically, Digimon says, I'm just going to eat her and turn to sand. No big deal.
I just want to eat, yeah. What?
And Goramon doesn't seem to think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so he says, we need to talk. Ruli, leave. And as she tries, Digitamon reaches out for her, and we switch out.
Outside, Hiro and
outside.
Kyo
Finally
found their way to this place.
Kyo's still freaking out and all that, and Hiro's just walking in. And busting out the window is Wezengammamon
and Digitamon.
And Digitamon, yeah. So somehow Wezengammamon at least pushed him away from Ruli.
Yep,
got away from Ruli enough, and is just like, what are you doing? What's going on? You're a researcher. What is this? And we get the story of how at first, it was fine when people couldn't see me.
First arrived, and I was stuck in the intangible, invisible phases. Yeah,
it just is a fairly common thing at this point.
It's a story for you.
But when something caused me to materialize, like he doesn't even know.
Yeah, which usually is not the case. It's supposed to be a pretty dramatic, emotional thing. But
one way or the other, somehow, yeah.
But in this case, okay, move along.
Yeah, and so he materialized, and with it came the hunger. And he was scared of it at first, but when the humans found him...
Humans found him when he materialized and didn't know how to go back and hide at this point.
Yeah, so that's when he grabbed him and tried to spit him out, supposedly, afterward, but all that came out was the sand.
Yes.
And their spirits rumbled inside of me.
Drawn into his stomach.
Whoa, okay.
I'm not quite sure where the sand is coming from, though. There's very little silicon in a human. I mean, he isn't owned his own extra-dimensional space, so maybe that had some odd effect, or it's just too graphic to have him spit out bones.
Yeah, it's probably more.
That might just be all it is, and I'm overthinking it again.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm just eating. It's what I need to do.
The guy said it's the most delicious thing or you've ever tasted, or most satisfied you've ever been, or something.
Yeah, just, wow, okay.
Now, the issues here are, one, he's an ultimate Digimon. Why would he be scared of an average human?
Yeah. He could certainly handle them, no problem, yeah.
But that really doesn't hold up in that regard.
Especially because he's been here 6 months. He knows enough about them to know that he doesn't have to be scared.
Yeah. He's probably been watching them long enough to know. Now, if he had shown up with a shotgun or something, maybe this would work a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did it more out of self-defense. He thought he needed to, or whatever. Yeah. Just no.
It turns out this guy's motivation is just because he thinks they're tasty. Now, if it all became like he almost got like a drug to him and he became addicted to him, and he wouldn't feel right if he hadn't eaten a human in a while, something like that, this would work a lot better. As opposed to just, well, they're tasty, I don't care they're sentient, and I'm a researcher. Know that things are sentient and probably shouldn't eat them.
Yeah, humans
I just like the taste.
I mean, it literally says humans eat other organisms to survive. What's the difference?
Well, everything eats other organisms to survive, even Digimon, really.
Yeah.
So this really doesn't hold up in that regard.
No.
Like I said, if you don't become addicted to him or something, this would be more of a tragic story for him and more understandable.
But that's what that we're already censoring it. That's what's coming out of him is drugs, not sand. I don't think so.
It's yellow powder, not white powder.
Yeah. But anyway.
But then a policeman shows up.
Says, "Hey, what are you doing there?" And Kyo, definitely not wanting to get in trouble, immediately brings up the field. And it's been a few episodes actually since we brought up the field, and his brings up a rocky terrain because there were 3 dim cards.
Yep.
So we got snow, desert, and now we got rocky.
You also made like a cavern before in the
so
the Kugumon episode.
Yeah, so we've seen his before, so but in this space it wasn't as much a cavern as it was rocky mountainous areas. And
why the police is here? Why we need a digital field?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he exists. We have seen him in this world, but
yeah. And so Digimon was like, "Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna go eat Angoramon."
I don't like the humans now.
Yeah, and he is just so callous, so
again, for a researcher, you think this would be really cool to him, but
yeah.
I guess just thinks humans are just that souls are just that tasty.
Yeah. And
gee, really? Digivolves Angoramon to Simba Angoramon, and he's like, stop, and like starts kicking out a few things and doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't care. He's so nonchalant about it. Fun. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat now, and then we can read some books afterwards.
Yeah, we'll read some books. Yeah, we'll talk more afterward.
This attack is not registered to him at all. It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, he is so fixated on it.
And you know, Digitamon is a tank. Almost any game you've ever
Digimon,
it is a tank Digimon.
Mm-hmm. And, gee, normally, how does Angoramon know about this Digimon? Because as he's starting to throw attacks at the other, he's like, make sure you dodge it. This attack does this.
This is his your heart.
Yeah. No, he knows Digitamon.
What he can do, yeah.
This one makes a lot of sense. So the other two get into the fight.
Yeah, get Tesla, Jellymon, and Wezen. Yeah, Wezengammamon.
Which, I guess if you saw his attacks weren't working, you want the firepower of Wezen. Sure.
Does he have more firepower? I guess he must, because it doesn't like his defenses are any good.
Well, he's been punched out of every form.
Wezen always seems to. He looks like he should have some better defense, but he really doesn't seem to have any better defense.
No.
But regardless, similar outcomes.
And all 3 of them, they combine their attacks.
Which always works.
Always beats Ultimates. It hasn't failed yet. Well, actually.
It kind of does now. But that's okay, because... Wait, can we go to Ultimate here? Well, yes. Yes, we can.
So, what's the point of having all the different champions if we go to the same Ultimate?
They're not truly branching in any way then. They're kind of branching and remerging.
I mean, this could be explained. I mean,
and
we don't know yet, but it's weird that we just get Cannibal Weisman again.
What's the point?
Yeah. I mean, he's cool. I like Cannibal Weisman.
I love the design.
But yeah, just
if Winston can go there, then it's almost guaranteed that Kalos can go there too. So
yeah,
what's the point of splitting up? And again, it's not like Hero's clever enough to use these ones and beat really tough situations. He's not Taiki.
Yeah, no. Gammamon just kind of chooses the forms, and he's just like, okay.
He would be able to do that when he gets some really cool stories that way.
Yeah. And gee, being an ultimate, suddenly he just whips up the wind, slaps him around, and uses Gallia Fissure or something. The attacks have weird names in this series. I probably won't remember them after these reviews. And slams him down, and at least puts a little crack in him. I mean, he's still fine, really, but there's at least a crack in him. He's slowing.
It's still Hero's Digimon, and they're all bleeding hearts.
Yeah. And so, but Simba and Goramon steps in front and tries one last time to just, why are you doing this? Why would you do this? You're a researcher. This isn't you. I'm just hungry. I just need to eat.
Yeah. Again, he doesn't mention that. I mean, there's other foods. You have to have had other foods at some point, right?
He's been here for 6 months. Yeah, when invisible, he still get hungry. So he had to have done something. Yeah. And so
as he starts to go towards
don't get in my way. Simba dashes in, slashes through the crack with something.
I thought it was his ear,
but he doesn't have a lot of slashing to him usually. So
that was a sharp ear blade myself.
Yeah, that's the best explanation I got.
If you saw something more that we missed, feel free to
let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Yes.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe.
Like the comments too. Like it all.
Yeah. And the crack just starts to spread and spread. And you've changed too, Angoramon. Are you a Digimon or a human? Is the last line he says as he deletes.
He's deleted, yeah.
And Goramon deleted his friend. I mean, in the context, I get it. And in this series, shouldn't be that surprising to delete Digimon, but it is.
Yeah.
This is the first hero caused deletion that wasn't from Gulas. Gammamon. This should be a big deal. And everyone looks pretty shocked to see it. There's no words
but no one says anything, And again, Simba himself doesn't look particularly bothered like it. Like, this wasn't really a tough decision for him.
But he doesn't end the episode with poetry, though.
There's like 2 lines from Ruli saying, the house is still there and it's still abandoned, and then it kind of ends. Again, if this was to build somewhere to next episode where Hero is furious at Angoramon because he would do something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, we know this series. It will be forgotten.
Well, yeah. And again, if Digitamamon had, not been so bullheaded about it, if he, like I said, had an addiction or something happened that he had to do this, and they were just forced to. Something has to give on him.
Yeah, or if you wanted to make this, just, and Gormon's been meeting with random Digimon, just have met with him for a couple seconds in a different episodes to build up towards this.
Yeah, I'll talk to him from other ones. My old friend, and eventually saying, okay, now we'll introduce you to Ruli and things like that. Would have helped make this a tougher moment.
But just once again, it's this season doesn't build into anything, and that's its biggest problem.
Again, this was, as I said before, this was a Digimon focused episode, which you don't see a lot of, and that was cool.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with this, though, is now we know why he knows how bats can reprogram things. Now he knows that all Digimon came from a computer virus. It doesn't say why he's partners with Ruli. It doesn't explain why he was so fascinated by her piano playing. Why that's such a thing to him? Why he follows her?
He wanted to be partners with Kyo, but Jellymon kicked him out. He wanted to be with an intellectual, and Jellymon was like, "Get the high road."
Mine, back up.
I mean, that would be such a twist and a weird thing. I'm saying you weren't my first choice as partner or something. I don't believe anything like that's going to happen, but that would be like, whoa.
So that was the biggest thing about Angoramon I wanted explained, and this doesn't do that.
No.
And again, I'll probably forget about this episode when the season is done. There's like so many of them.
Yeah. There are already some where I go back to our reviews and go, oh, yep.
The episode 21, that one was... Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll see if episode 27 is like that as well. The Monster's Beauty Serum.
Which might win the title for the most interesting... The award for the most interesting title.
Most strange, interesting, yeah. And it's Splashmon.
Yep. Who's been getting a lot of play. He was in 2020, and now he's
here.
Ghost Game.
And if you want to continue the pattern that they've done recently of Digimon that can at least pass as human, he's kind of one that kind of can too.
Yeah.
Better than most.
Better than many.
Well, given how dense people are, he could pass as a human in this world.
I'm thinking Monkey Diva could pass as a human in this world.
Yeah. And it looks like mostly he's attacking people for the most part. It's running their heads in water and...
Got this one water-shaped thing that looks like a head. It's kind of creepy looking.
Yeah.
And it features the girl from the outro that Hero's friends getting turned down by.
Yeah, it's harassing.
So is she going to be something important, or just they had the model and they use that?
Hard to say at this point.
Got me. Won't have anything to do with vampires or demons.
I highly doubt it. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more Digimon content from us. And as always, everyone, remember to be awesome. Until the next one, take care. Bye-bye.